Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the New Jersey Film Festival Filmmaker Q&A session. Today, we have two wonderful experimental filmmakers that we'll be talking to for the next 20-25 minutes. As an added perk of our film screenings, we do a number of filmmaker Q&As that are provided to anyone who has purchased a ticket or a festival pass. So you get to see all of the interactions that we have. Now, normally we would be doing this live, and we still may very well be doing that because this fall, our New Jersey Film Festival will be a hybrid one, and we will be doing live screenings at our state-of-the-art facility, Voorhees Hall, room 105. It's a large auditorium that seats about 250. But because of the pandemic, we will be doing social distancing, and there will be a limited seating for the live screenings. But have no fear. For the price of admission, you can watch the films live and on the internet. So we will be having that option available to anybody who buys a ticket. So today we're going to be talking to a festival alum, Vas Papaioannu, and please pronounce your last name, because I'm sure I didn't do it correctly.
Don't worry, it's Papaioannu.
Papaioannu.
It's a Greek last name, so it's difficult.
Yes,
it's long.
And I'm feeling bad for the folks in Greece right now.
Yeah.
The fires there are terrible, just like the ones that we have on the West Coast. Global warming, climate change is here, folks. It's here. Don't listen to the crazy people. Yeah. Anyway, and Martin Del Carpio is based in New York City, and Vaz is based in Washington now. He used to be at Syracuse University. Now he's a professor at Howard University. Welcome, guys. Your two experimental films are wonderful. The Dark Forest by Martin and Parenthesis by Vas. They're actually playing on different dates, but I thought it would be nice to have the two experimental filmmakers here. Hopefully you had a chance to watch the movies. I sent them to you. I should have sent them to you earlier, but I thought, I should send it to them. It became this epiphany that I had yesterday, but hopefully you got a chance to watch the movies.
Yes, I did.
The Dark Forest is actually the very first film that we're screening as part of the festival, and our festival is the 40th anniversary. I started this festival back in 1982 when I was a graduate student at Rutgers, and now I'm a faculty member there teaching film and cinema studies. So it's been 40 years, a labor of love doing this. So I'm proud to have you guys on board. All right, let's start with Martin, since your film is the very first one we're screening on September 10th. Your film is definitely a film paying homage to somebody who passed away. And it's quite beautiful, set in the forest with all sorts of interesting stuff going on. Tell us about your movie.
Well, it's a film actually that I wrote 2 months after my father passed away in 2019. So my mom passed away the year before. So then losing my father the next year was sort of like, I wouldn't say, traumatizing, but sort of like made you want to question a lot of things about life and made you want to, about our existence. And, it just made me dive headfirst into spirituality, I guess, but not so much the conventional way, but more like more of a unique way, reading different types of books. I read a book of a friend of mine that recommended by a shaman, for example, and things like that, just to understand different perspectives of how people view our existence. So then I wrote this, the treatment 2 months after my father passed. I think it was November. I remember it was the Thanksgiving week, I wrote that treatment. But I was because I was still grieving, it was weird for me to film anything or to even approach the project. So I kind of left it alone and I worked on something else. But by 2020, I felt like I was ready. So we filmed it in July in 2020. We went to this park and instinctively I just went with what I felt made sense to me with different images that I had in my mind. And then Dan, who did the voiceover, he's an actor I've always wanted to work with for such a long time. He was supposed to be in the film because of the pandemic, he didn't feel comfortable going out yet, with people. So okay, you do the voiceover work, you do the narrative part. And then it took a really long time to edit the film, probably the longest, because I wanted to get it just right with everything. And it was supposed to be originally 20 minutes. the film, but it didn't work out that way. I just felt like, okay, let's trim it down. And finally, I got it done this year, in May of 2021.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful film. I mean, I think the editor that worked with you, William Murray, is that his name?
Yes.
I think he does a really great job, and
An amazing job, yeah.
with the look of the film, the tints of the forest, and you know, the person who's in your movie too, Carly Erin O'Neil, is very pixie-ish, and she reminded me of somebody might as well have been in Lord of the Rings, like one of these elf queens. And that's what it reminded me of. I'm not sure if that's something you were alluding to, but I mean, your opening quote using Dante has all of these references to the l'enfer, right? The underworld. And was that something that you wanted to hone in on, or?
Yes. I wanted to open up a different world within the forest. That was my intention, I guess. Carly, like you mentioned, she was perfect for it because she does understand this, and she's the type, she was just perfect for this. And I didn't really have to tell her, do this, and she wouldn't be like, why? You know, she completely got it, and she was just like, gotcha, you know, and then she would, you know, hold the mask this way, she would do it. You know, she understood everything. So I think what I was trying to explain was that think of you coming in from a different world, coming into our world. We're having a moment of a collision of our existence, possibly. I mean, we don't know what happens in the afterlife, but I'm just saying, just as an example. And she was just perfect for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why I brought up Lord of the Rings, because you have there's this kind of in between state before they pass, right? And I felt that was a little bit of where we were, not a purgatory so much as a between living and dying. There's a kind of way station, and this forest seemed to be kind of tight connected to that, and I think Vaz's film is quite different, whereas your film moves very, you know, kind of we snake through the forest in a very deliberate way. Vaz's film is much more quick cuts, and you know, is shot on Super 8, and it has this very kinetic feel to it, but yet there are some connections that I saw, even though the films are quite different in the way they move, that there were some obvious connections in terms of movement and in between states. Faz, am I completely way off, or?
No, watching Martin's project, first of all, I love the way that he's using the nature. I love like being alone and with a camera and just getting the vibe from nature. It's a different work that you do when you have actors too, and you put things together, and you have more a performative type of work. And also I'm half Italian, so immediately when you put like the words from Dante Alighieri, you know, I immediately thought of you as I didn't think there was a protagonist in it. I thought about you as the maker, who through the process of making the movie, you're figuring out things for yourself and your life. And I mean, I was assuming before watching it. So I was introduced in your movie in a very warm way. And then it was for me all like following everything that you were giving me. And it was really easy, even though experimental, and many people are expecting a real story, you know, when they're watching a movie. I was really gently being guided from shot to shot. So the connection with nature for me is like really what Al was saying about our movies. I felt really close with it. And yeah, I was introduced really gently. Maybe I should do less cuts, or do like less violent.
I think both of your films are wonderful, and both of your films feature these kind of muses, right? There is a female presence in your film, Vaz, too, which kind of begins and ends the movie. And I always love all the cats in your movies too. I think as a big, maybe one of my cats will come floating in when I say cats, they come floating around. But
I love them.
Yeah, me too. And I think,
if I could say, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead, Mark.
To make his point, what I loved about Parenthesis when I saw it and I watched it, and just like what I said about my film, using, you know, going by my instincts, what I loved about Parenthesis was just that when I watched it, I was like, you know, this is that weird abstract moment. And it reminded me particularly when I was a kid, you know, you have those moments when you're in the car and you're just looking in a very abstract way out the window and you're seeing the world in a whole different way. But it's just, it's a very special moment. It's like an in-between moment, like you mentioned. And I felt that was similar to what I was doing. So there is a similarity between our films too. So that's what I got from your film.
The truth is like I really want to I'm really a filmmaker. As a viewer, I really love like when the camera is really gentle with which I don't do as a maker, and I think the reason for that is that I'm using like older media, and I'm really comfortable working with 8 frames per sec, 9 frames per sec, so I can have more film, but as a viewer, it's a different experience. I enjoy like movies where are slower, where there is more gentle passing. So I don't know, it's almost like a duality between the maker and the viewer. Yeah. And so that's why I was really captivated by the way that you are showing me the nature and the character inside the movie and the voiceover. So yeah, it's something that maybe our students will have to figure out on their own. This dichotomy between.
We love experimental films because, you know, that's what I teach, but it's really important to me, a kind of mission as a curator and as a filmmaker, to turn people on to these types of movies that don't communicate in a narrative fashion, a linear narrative way. And there's wonderful films that I think the younger kids are much more in tune to, because they're able to make connections, because they're much more driven from visual language than from, you know, kind of textual language. But I think I wanted to ask you, the tracking shots in your film, Martin, were they slowing down images in the post-production aspect, or did you use a Steadicam, or just, you know, tell us a little bit about the process. How did you get the camera to move so effortlessly through the woods?
They were slowed down in the editing process. Basically, I mean, we shot them, you know, with a steady camera, just moving around the forest as slow as we could physically. But yeah, in the editing process, there were certain scenes that were slowed down.
You slowed them down. Yeah. And who is the male figure that we see in the movie? Is that you?
Male figure. No, just Carly.
I thought there was a male figure in there, but maybe I'm confusing it with Vaz's movie. But I'm pretty sure I thought there's like some superimposed images of a male, and we see
there's a wolf at the end.
Yeah, there's definitely a wolf at the end. That's true. And where did you find the wolf? Was that something you just pulled from the internet, or? Yeah,
stock footage. I mean, copyright free, but stock. But I love wolves. I'm actually going to wolf conservation in upstate in about a week or so.
I have no idea why people want to shoot wolves. I mean, they reintroduce them and then they shoot them, and I have no sympathy for hunters that just want to kill for pleasure.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Vaz, in your film, you use Super 8 film. What kind of film stock did you use?
Oh yeah, I used the Ektachrome, and partly for certain parts the 500T, and it was too bright, so I had to ask the lab to pull it down a little bit. But yeah, it was like, I went for the Ektachrome because they recently Kodak put it back into in circulation. So yeah, it was a really interesting experience. It's too bright.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I found, that you use Ektachrome, which is a low light stock, but outside mostly, and so it gives it that kind of washed out look. And that's something that I assume that you wanted. And where did you shoot most of these images?
Oh my God, I went to this. I'm so I still remember it, and still have footage that I love watching it. It's an island close to, in the center of the Aegean Sea. Excuse me. It's called Kato Koufonisi. There are two islands. The one that it's more like touristic, and the other one where there's no hotel, there's nothing. So you live basically in a tent if you want to go there.
Wow.
And it was really, I was filming. There are so hidden treasures in places like that, because everything is untouched by the people who go there. They're just people, naturalists, so they don't mess with
No
the
tourists
environment.
there. No
Yeah,
tourists. That's a great place to be.
and
But
then
who is the woman in your film?
it's my best friend, Sophia. I have two best friends in Greece. One of them is Erato, like the muse, and the other one is Sophia. And she asked me to go with her in this journey in the islands. And I said, all right, let's do this. And it was really, really, I wasn't expecting to film. And I filmed also in Portland, Oregon.
Wow.
Certain parts, other ones in Athens and in Siena in Italy. But the biggest part of the movie was shot there.
Island. Cool. Very cool. And Martin, where did you shoot your film?
Forest Park, Queens, New York.
Wow. Were there a lot of people floating around when you were shooting, or was it pretty empty?
Fortunately, no. So there wasn't a lot of interruptions. We were able to do whatever we wanted. And actually, let me retract one thing out. So yes, there is a guy in the video. I'm just like, what guy is he talking about? Like, I mean, I did like, yes, Dan. That's Dan, the guy who does the voiceover. Because he couldn't be in the actual video. I said, you need to be in the video somehow. I need to put you in there. And he just filmed some things at his home with his cell phone camera.
Cool.
And sent me like over 20 minutes of footage. And unfortunately, because, you know, William shot this in 4K. He was like, it's just, the combination's not really there quite, but we were able to grab some things, and that's why he's there for like half a second, maybe, you know, in a couple of scenes.
It looks cool because it has this greenish tint, and it you know, I knew I saw it, and I was saying, gosh, because it fit, because you get the sense that this is the person who is seeing everything that we're seeing, and makes perfect sense that it's the person that we hear. So,
right.
Anyway, what I wanted to do now is to share screen and to make sure people know how they can check out your work, and they're seeing everything, but they're not seeing it because they haven't seen the movie. And normally I would cut in clips and stuff like that, but I really wanted these Q&As to be low tech. And I'm gonna share screen, and they'll get a little bit from the pictures that I'll show them in a second. But normally the way that people will be able to get tickets is they would go to our homepage, which is njfilmfest.com. And in the placard behind me, we'll come back to it a second, you can write it down. But you would click on this, and normally everything would open up here. But because we're doing a hybrid festival and we're using Eventive for the streaming, I based everything at the Eventive site. So wherever you see blue, you got to click on one of those to get to the real homepage. And when you get to the real homepage, it'll open up on the catalog page, which has all of the movies and in terms of the screenings. But I'll click around and show you the other stuff. If you wanted to check out The Dark Forest, you would click on the 9 o'clock whistle, which is the feature it's playing with, which is a real amazing film by a 92-year-old lady who recounts these things that took place in Enfield, North Carolina. Enfield, I guess that's the way it's pronounced. So somehow I put these two movies together, but The Dark Forest is available here as well, and you get two movies for the price of one, and you would just click on where it says pre-order. And that will give you access to the movie online for 24 hours. So it's playing on September 10th. And if you start watching it really late in the day, on the 10th, it still gives you 24 hours to finish it. So you get two movies for the price of one. And let's say you love these movies, you check them out early in the day, you want to see them live on our big screen, you can go at 7 o'clock. The live screening takes place only at one time. And these two movies will play on September 10th. So you get access to the online and the live screening. And it's $15 general admission, which is a little more expensive than normal because we're trying to make up the money that we lost during the pandemic. And we're asking patrons to pay a little bit more. But they also get this Q&A, which we provide to the viewers at no charge. And we send links to the Q&As and other stuff that is meant to enhance the viewing experience. So you can also go back to Festival's site, and it opens up to the welcome page, which has got 3-4 buttons, and the schedule button will open up, and you can see a nice photograph of Carly in the dark forest. That's the first thing you see. And you scroll down a little bit further, and then we have a number of films that we're showing. And here's a photo. I really like this shot of the tunnel in parentheses from Vaz's movie. And there's other movies that we're showing. I was hoping to get Konstantin Mashenko to come on for his Lucid Dreams, which is another experimental film we're showing. And then we have this really kooky a documentary about a performance artist who was based in St. Petersburg, Russia, by Lana Berndel. She's Vienna, Austria filmmaker. Actually, she's Ukrainian, but she's based in Vienna. So we have a lot of wonderful stuff that you can go all the way down and see everything that we're offering. Or you can go to where it says Film Guide, and you can check out the movies there too, by name. And so Dark Forest is here. We got the poster, and then we have parentheses down here from that poster. And you can click around and get all the information that you need. But tickets are basically on the catalog page, and all you have to do is click on one of the images and you can buy tickets that way. So I'm gonna stop and share and say thanks to you guys for hanging out for these 25 minutes and sharing perspectives on your movie. I wanna thank you so much for doing that. And I hope folks will come and join us for the screenings on the respective days. Thanks so much, guys, for being part of it. Thank you.